Today I'm going to be talking about video game cases and updating my list of video games I've added onto my collection. Let's get started. So in my last entry of this series, I showed you guys how I was making my own custom-made video game cases. It took quite some time, and with some procrastination, I was finally able to finish all of the game cases I was able to get through. Some of them aren't the best looking in the world, but you know what? They do the job, and really ultimately it's more of just an organization thing for me, so that way I can see which games are where, and if I want to play a certain one, I know exactly just by looking at the spine of the video game and not having to pull every single one out and see and open the case and everything like that. That just takes so much more time than it does, so this just makes things way more convenient for me. And in the midst of doing that, I figured, you know, with video games like the old retro ones like Sega Genesis, NES, and in my case, Nintendo 64 primarily, the video game cases that they originally came with back in the 90s, a lot of the cases were thrown away, unfortunately, because people didn't really think about keeping them. They were very cardboard, throwaway material, so nobody really thought about keeping the game cases, and because of that, those prices for those just skyrocketed now because of how rare they are right now. In order to make my game collection even look more presentable, especially with the Nintendo 64 side of things, I didn't want to just have the games out like they are like this and not being able to see what games are which by looking at the spines. You can't tell from that way. You have to pull them out, look at the actual thing, and then be like, okay, I don't feel like playing that game right now, so I'm going to put it back. And then, you know, it's just, I don't know. I don't like the way it's presented like that. So while I'm scrolling on Facebook, you know how, you know, everything is listening in on everything you do or say these days. So I see an ad for game cases for the Nintendo 64 and other retro games as well. And they are made by these companies that provide this service, so that way you can update your game collection in a more presentable way, which I think is awesome. I'm glad that there are companies out there that are doing this, and they're very affordable. Now, there are two companies I want to talk about: Stone Age Gaming and Game Relics. Both provide the same service, however, quality is different from the other. I bought one from each company just so that way I could compare the two. When I got both of them in, I realized who I wanted to go for, and I kept buying more cases from that. And I am just here to give you my opinion and my thoughts about which one I think is better and which one I think you guys should go for if you're trying to update your game collection and make it look more presentable as well. This is a game case for Super Mario 64 from Stone Age Gaming, and this is a game case for Donkey Kong 64 from Game Relics, or Gaming Relics, whichever. Now, there are a few differences with these game cases. Stone Age Gaming has a more VHS type-esque look to it. They are obviously both plastic, however, the thing is that the Stone Age Gaming box just feels more fragile and squishy, and it's a lot taller. It's not that much taller, but you can see the difference. And the thing is that they stick out more as well because their width is not the same. So they're just much more bigger in size. But the problem that I found was, now they come with an option to have the cover art trimmed or untrimmed, which means that if you want it untrimmed, they'll mail it from the way that it's printed, and you have to cut it out yourself for it to fit the case. And I didn't feel like doing all that extra work. Why? Because I'm paying you guys for the service that you're providing, which is the cover art. Why do I have to cut it myself? So I selected trimmed. However, when you select trimmed, it comes with a caution that's saying, listen, we cut all of these game art pieces like a bunch at a time at once. So they have a machine that they place, like, hypothetically, like, say 50 all at once, and they take a machine, they just cut it in the dimensions in order for it to fit the case. But sometimes they claim that, listen, it may not be a perfect cut. So understand that that's how you're going into it. If you get it in the mail and it's not a perfect trim, well, that's on you. You paid for it. You understood the consequences of doing that. Why the f is that a thing? I'm paying you to give me the cover art. I want the cover art the way I'm paying for it. I'm paying for your services. Why should I have to worry about that? So that really annoyed me, where there might be a situation where it may look presentable or not. And I don't trust my own cutting. I don't have like an actual cut board or anything like that to do it myself. So I would like, I don't know, the people who are providing the service to do it for me and the right way. But you guys are telling me it might not come out right. That's dumb. Game Relics, on the other hand, you choose from the get which game art you want. And they have an option of whether or not if you want it in like the actual original style, the way they were made back in the day, like the actual little box, rectangle box, or you want it vertical, where I prefer because it takes up less space and I think it's just more presentable that way. And it looks cooler, it looks different, so I think it looks more unique that way. And perfect trim, looks good. I like it. It's not gigantic like the Stone Age Gaming one. So that's who I went with moving forward, was Game Relics, because they just look more presentable. I like that they're more compact. And when you open them, is fit in very snug, so to speak. They have clips that you can put the games in. They have a slot for your memory card that clips in as well, and it's not going anywhere. Now, the same thing is provided by Stone Age Gaming. However, they don't have, it's not really clipped in. You just put it inside and hope for the best, really. And they fit in. They're pretty snug. It's not that bad. I think it's much more easier to grab them out than the Game Relics one, but they have a spot for, memory cards down here as well, but they just flap and slide around in there when you have them inside. And I don't like that. I like it when things clip in because you know that it's in there. It's not going anywhere. I like Game Relics product more, honestly. So I would suggest that if you guys are going to be buying game cases or retro boxes for your old classic video games, go with Game Relics. I just had a much better experience with them. Stone Age Gaming, while they provide a fine product, it wasn't for me. And at the same time, when I actually got the game art, it was a bitch to put it in the actual case. It was just like not going in. Like, it was just like, it had a tough time. And I don't want to have to do that with every single freaking case I get. I don't feel like doing that. They both come in around the same price in terms of the products. For me, I just prefer the way Game Relics has. So that's my review of Stone Age Gaming's game cases and Game Relics game cases. So there you have it. Now I'm going to update you guys on which games I have included in my video game collection. So let's get on to that.